Hey, everybody, and welcome to another exciting What episode of The Assumption Effect. Today, we are going to talk about, can you manifest something that is not a true desire? Your hosts today, of course, are the amazing Nikki and Flossie, and we're going to give you our thoughts and opinions about whether you can manifest something whether you can manifest something that is not a true desire.
So my thoughts on the topic are yes and no. Um, and I'll let Flossie explain her thoughts on the topic. Can you manifest anything you possibly want? Absolutely. Without a doubt. You can manifest anything you want. Want being the key word that creates the desire, right? You want something, you've had the idea, it exists in somewhere that you're going to shift to that reality or, you know, creation where that's already finished. But on the other hand, you can manifest things you don't want. Like we tell you to do lists to help you believe in your manifestation, right? So maybe you don't have a desire to see a blue duck. It's not a true desire of yours, but you're going to keep persisting in it. It's going to become the desire to show you the proof of the manifestation, to see the blue duck as you keep persisting in the desire. So, can you manifest something that's not a true desire? Yes. If you persist in it, if you change your dominant thoughts and assumptions to align with that so that it does become a reality you can have.
Well, and I'd like to take that a little bit further. So, to me, and I know that Nick and I have talked about this before, you guys have probably heard me say this before, but I think one of the basic concepts of law of assumption is that when you have a desire, creation is already finished. So when you want something, it already exists somewhere. You just have to become the version of you that has it. And we explained to you guys that you can become the version of you that has that desire by what? Changing your dominant thought on the topic so that you can shift to the reality where it exists, or sometimes we put it in the way of so that your 3D reality can conform and that desire becomes present. Having said that, quite often people manifest things that they don't desire. Why? Because it's their dominant thought on the topic. And so, a lot of times when people come to us and they're new clients and they're new to the manifestation community, or maybe they've been here for a few minutes and they're like, I want a relationship with my SP, or I want to have more money and I'm not experiencing that. I'm experiencing what I don't want. And at the end of the day, they're experiencing what? Something that's not preferred, but it's the dominant thought on the topic. Having said that, going back to Nikki's example, yes, maybe you don't have a true initial desire to see a blue duck, but you're making a list of things in order to boost your confidence as a manifester, as we've talked about. And as like one of my videos where I talk about the wouldn't it be funny if list, and Nikki and I talk about that similar thing of, just making a list of things that are random that you want to see and experience in order to boost your confidence as a manifester, but they're general enough that you don't give a shit about them, but specific enough that it's you. You have the desire to, become more confident in manifesting. So that is your desire. You're just putting things on the list that pop in your head that you don't feel like you'd have resistance to. So maybe you don't truly desire, quote unquote, to see a blue duck, but you do desire in order to build your confidence as a manifester. So it's that desire with the repetition of thought that allows it to come to fruition.
Yeah, and the big question that I got that I think that inspired this podcast to begin with was the person who asked was worried that their SP may not be a true desire, that maybe they just desire having a relationship or having that experience of love. And is that possible? Sure, but it's going to be unique to you. You're going to know if it's a true desire or not. And that's why we say get really clear about what you want. Think about it. Make the list. Is it this SP? Is it something new? Because I have had clients that have dropped their SP after 2 weeks after they've kind of warmed the relationship and they realize I deserve better than this. And that's very true because I think when you have a lot of emotions tied into it, maybe the desire is validation or closure or something moving forward. And I'm not saying you can't manifest your SP because obviously you can. But what I'm saying is get really clear about what you want. That's why I love the FU letters. That's why I love, writing things out, getting things out of my head so I can get clear and be like, okay, what do I want? Do I want SP a certain way? Do I want SP to do XYZ? Do I want just to experience a good relationship? Like, what is it that you truly desire? And I think a lot of the times, and I've had this happen more than once, where people will come to me and they're manifesting their ex, and it's always the ex. And they want this person, but then they pop up with 4 or 5 different SPs later, which is totally fine. But it's like what makes a specific person a desirable thing is the way I'm looking at it through their lens, maybe they're polyamorous and they want all these boyfriends at the same time. But a lot of the times when I see people with multiple SPs and they want them all to propose to them or they want them all to be with them, that's their personal choice and desire. And I'm not in their head. But more often than not, they later come back and say that they really just want the relationship or they want to go general or something like that. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree. I've seen all sorts of different things. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I know that a lot of times I use the analogy of, the busboy at Denny's versus Aquaman. That's one of my analogies. And, I don't think that there exists a reality where I'm with Aquaman because I have no desire to be with Aquaman. And I've had people comment, well, yes, it exists, because all possibilities exist. And yeah, we do have infinite possibilities that could potentially happen, but I don't think that necessarily because I think a random thought that I don't desire that all of a sudden it means that it necessarily exists in a reality somewhere. I think it will exist if it's a dominant thought I have on the topic. I think it'll exist if it's a desire that I truly have. And I don't have a desire to be with fucking Aquaman, and so I don't think that there's a reality that exists where I'm in a relationship with Aquaman, period. That's me. Having said that, I do agree also with what you're saying. Like sometimes, people come to the manifestation community from different sources, and it's not unusual that it is some sort of catalyst that's led them here. I mean, it can be times that they just migrate from law of attraction or another manifestation type of community or spiritual journey. But quite frequently, we see people come here because they have like some sort of a loss, whether it's a loss of a relationship or loss financially or job or just things in life aren't going well. And they're looking for, information to help them get through it. And then they end up stumbling upon, you know, the law of assumption community. And having said that, I do agree with Nikki that it is not unusual that someone's manifesting their specific person who is an ex, and maybe they're really just wanting validation, reassurance. Sometimes they really do love that person and they really do want that relationship, and they do manifest that relationship back. I mean, there's many people who manifest their SPs back. I have worked with a number of people though that when they go through the journey, they're like, you know what? I know I manifested this, but this was a relationship that when I'm now that I'm seeing more clearly, I truly wasn't happy in this relationship. It had a lot of toxic elements, and I just don't really wish to pursue this person because, I just really wasn't happy in this relationship. I want to actually get very clear on what I want and manifest a person I do want, or they're manifesting their SP. And guess what? Someone comes forth that does check all their boxes and they're like, I like this person better than my specific person. I didn't think that I'd ever say that. I really thought that I would just want my specific person, but I don't want my specific person anymore. Well, guess what? Their desire changed. And so they became a version of them who's now desires to be with someone else, and a relationship with someone else exists because their desire changed.
And I've seen people argue in the community, like somebody will say that in one of the groups or something and say, yeah, I decided I didn't want my original SP anymore. And they're like, well, you can change that. You can change them. And what they're not understanding is it is no longer that person's desire, and they're projecting their wants and needs onto this other person because they feel like since this person changed their mind, they can't manifest their SP because their mind's just going to change too. And they're not ready for whatever transition in their mindset because they're holding on some kind of desperation or something. So don't get us wrong, you can manifest the SP, absolutely. But desires can change. I have never had a desire for certain things and then suddenly it pops up that I want something. That's part of growth, that's part of living, that's part of your human experience, right? You're going to want something new, some new shiny iPhone comes out. Ooh, you didn't have the idea for a new iPhone, but now suddenly you want a new iPhone. It can totally change with what it is that you want. I'm not a big, obviously I'm a techie person, but I'm not like big on having like the best of the best. Yeah, I have MacBooks and stuff like that, but there's a new MacBook that came out. Normally, I'm not the one like, ooh, I have to have that. But recently, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna manifest that MacBook. So, your desire can change day by day, week by week, whatever. But at the end of the day, can you manifest something that's not a true desire? Yes. Only if you truly have another desire to manifest something that's not a true desire, like it being on your list so you can prove to yourself that it works, or, you know, getting clear about the desire. That's the first start, wouldn't you think? I think a lot of people come into this confused. They're like, oh, I have to have XYZ and no other way, and it has to come in this specific way, and they start micromanaging the middle. And it's like, that's not how this works. Like, you have to have the desire, go to the end, and persist for that. If the desire is to create something that you've never experienced before, such as the list, you're going to experience that because that is a desire. So just down the rabbit hole.
Well, I think that there's a lot of confusion, and I think sometimes there's a lot of judgment occasionally in the community. I mean, like you were saying, people's desires change, and it is not unusual for someone to be on their manifestation journey and just, realize that why they were desiring something wasn't because maybe they really wanted that person or the relationship. Sometimes it's to prove to themselves that they can do it. Sometimes it is. I've had people who literally want to manifest back their original SP, and at the end of the day, it's because they just really want to tell them to go kick rocks. Like they don't even necessarily really want the relationship, or they think they do. And then the minute that it shows up, they're like, you know what? I really don't want this after all. Now that it's in front of me, now that I see that I can have it, because sometimes when we feel like we can't have something, that can naturally increase a desire to have it. Why? Because you're being told no, or you're being, made to think that you can't have it. And that's what's being reflected back to you. And then the minute that it comes to you, you're like, oh, okay. Um, I'm not so keen on this after all. And I'm, I think Nikki and I both are in the camp of manifest whatever you want. I don't think that because someone comes here to manifest an SP, like maybe that's why they found the manifestation community, that they must manifest their original SP, because desires do change. Like sometimes you're like, you know what? I didn't really have a healthy relationship with this person and I can choose to revise it, but I don't wish to. Like I don't wish to compromise me for a manifestation. It's literally my reality. Why do I need to be with somebody that I had a healthy unhealthy relationship with, or that was really toxic, or maybe they were borderline abusive, or maybe the relationship was very upsetting. Why should I manifest a new version of that person when that relationship, was really negative? Like, no, you don't have to do that. You can decide that you become the best version of you and get clear on what you want and manifest what you actually do want. You don't have to manifest anything that you don't want to manifest just because some other person's like, well, you have to do that. No, if that other person wishes to be miserable in their reality, go right ahead, girl. But I don't have to be miserable in mine, and neither does anybody else.
And the funny thing is, if somebody's sitting here getting pissed off because we're saying this, think about how love is blind, right? Go back. We all, everybody, and if not you, a friend or a family member, can look back in their past and be like, ew, I dated that person. Ugh.
Hmm.
Our desires change. It changes with age, it changes with experience, it changes with self-concept, it changes as we evolve as people. I can just off the top of my head, I'm cringing inside because I'm thinking of a few like, oh, I thought wanted to be with that person my entire life. And I look back and I'm like, you were a stupid 20-year-old girl, like, but so it's totally normal. And can you manifest your SP or your specific job or your specific career or school? Yeah, absolutely. If you even have the idea, it's most likely a desire, but
I just feel like sometimes people need to like do some reflection with themselves and be like, why is this so triggering to me in the first place? Is it like because I feel like it's signaling to me that this person is saying that they couldn't manifest their SP and they made up an excuse of that they wanted another one? No, it's not. Because a lot of people have and do manifest back a specific person just to say, I don't want this anymore, period.
10
And
times
so,
out of 10. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but 10
oh
times
no,
out of
I
10, we get those clients, and Flossie will validate this for me, and she doesn't even have to tell me because we haven't even talked about this, and I guarantee it happens to her too. We will get a client that changes their mind, says, you know what, I don't even want to bother with that dude. I'm going to find somebody new. They find somebody new, and guess who comes back?
SP, the original OGSP. We've had a lot of people who've just manifested their OGSP and then they've been like, you know what? This really hasn't truly been a desire of mine for a while. Like it came back, like my desires started to change, but like I'd already put in the work, I'd already changed my mindset. This person came back and I'm over here living the high life, going on plenty of dates and could really care less if SP's here or not.
Right. So
But at the end of the day, I mean, the purpose of the video is just to like touch base with you guys about can you, can you manifest something that you truly don't desire? Yes and no. I mean, I don't think that there exists a reality where I'm with Aquaman because I have no interest to be with Aquaman. or the busboy at Denny, so that doesn't exist either. However, have I manifested some things in my 3D reality that were unpreferred? Absolutely. Why? Because that was a dominant thought that I had on that topic.
Yep, I fully agree. So we will see you guys on the next podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you. And have a great day. Until then, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.